Welcome to Smokin' with Sadie, brought to you by Smokehouse USA. I'm Marty.
I'm Sadie.
Thanks for watching our video. Brisket, one of my favorite meats to cook. These are very large briskets. They're bigger than I like to use, but sometimes you have to use what you can find. So I got these at Costco. I'm going to trim these up. I like to take a little bit of fat off. I don't take a ton, but we'll take that off and I'll record the weight of the fat. And then at the end, I'll share with you what my overall yield for the cook is. And I expect it to be right around that 52% range. All right, so I got the first dinosaur brisket out just because it's so honking huge. I'm going to trim some of this fat off. The little floppy stuff I like to cut off. I like to take some of that one out too. Anyway, we'll start cutting away here. And that is just one big solid hunk there. I actually use one of my fillet knives. It's a little flexible and it allows me to get in there a little bit. Before the brisket is packaged, it goes through a steam tunnel and you get some discolored meat from the heat of the steam on there. So I like to take that off. I also take off anytime I see a blood spot or something like that. I like to get rid of that. That fillet knife really works good. I have filleted more brisket with my fillet knife than I have walleyes. That's because I let them go. Wouldn't you rather eat brisket than walleye any day? I try never to get down into the meat like I did right there. You know, I took off, I didn't take off a ton, but took off a little bit of fat. An awful lot of it will render out during smoking and cooking. I'm going to put this in the smoker for about 6.5 hours because I've run enough temperature probes through my smoker to know that at about 6.5 hours, the surface of this brisket is dry, and it doesn't matter how much more smoke you give it, it's not going to pick any more up. Once the surface is dry, the smoke will no longer adhere. So you've got two choices at that point. You can either suck it up and wait through the stall, maybe wrap it in butcher paper or foil and leave it in your smokehouse. I pull it out, wrap it in foil, I stick it in my oven at 350 degrees, and the stall happens around that 160 degree internal range, give or take. But I can take a 14 or 15 hour process and cut it down to maybe 9. And those 4 or 5 hours are really, really precious for me. All right, now it's time to season the meat. So I'm using a custom rub that was developed down at Iowa State University for their processed meat summer short course. I've led a group down there doing pink ring development over the last 15 years or so. And so it's a really, really good rub on brisket. It's got 20 different seasonings in it. So it's pretty complex, carries a lot of flavor. Don't be afraid to season your brisket very liberally. So I'm going to season these pretty heavy, and then I'm going to bag them up and hold them overnight in the refrigerator, and we'll start smoking in the morning. So this will get re-seasoned again in the morning once I get it in the smoker. I like to make sure I get the ends and the sides. Almost need a crane to lift this thing up. And this was the little one. All right, so there's the first one. I've got 2 more I'm going to do, and I'll show you once I get them in the bags. So these are the poly bags I use. I'll double bag it, and that way if the first bag leaks, I can hopefully keep any mess out of my refrigerator. And it's just like carrying a 12-pack. So the brisket is seasoned overnight in the refrigerator, and I'm just getting ready to put it in the smoker. So we'll just add just a little more just to the top side. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to stick them in. I've got 2 different sets of probes I'm using this morning. One, I've got the temperature probe and the internal just for control for my DigiQ. And then I've got a meter block that I'll put those probes in as well. So I'll be able to watch it from inside or if I'm out here. This is the fun part. So I'm going to put 2 on top, on the top screen, and 1 on the bottom screen. If I can get the bag to release. Release, let go, let go. And I like to keep everything to where they don't touch for best smoke absorption. In this case, I don't have much of a choice. They're touching just a little bit right here, but these are going to shrink a bunch, and by the end, they'll be an inch apart. So I'm going to go ahead and put the one probe in right there. Going to take my air probe. So it's an alligator clip with just a little probe in it, and I'm going to stick it right here. You got to be careful that I don't get grease dripping on it, because then it gives you false readings. All right, and then the last one I am going to stick on the right side of the screen. So the reason I set it up like this is my heat's coming through this way, and it's going to come up, and I know that this spot right here is the hot spot. So hopefully this will help even it out a little bit. The reason I really like the meter probe is not only do you get the product temperature, the internal core temperature, but it also, when it sticks out, it measures air temperature on the backside too. So it's a dual probe, and I really like it a bunch. I like to get all this set up before I start heating my my chimney with the charcoal in it. So the next step will be I'll put the charcoal chimney in the firebox and start that. And about a half hour, we'll start smoking. This morning I'm using a Royal Oak lump charcoal. You know, some days are going to be fantastic, others you're going to struggle. Today's a fantastic day because on the very first pull, I got my string off my bag of charcoal. So I've got my chimney full of my newspaper. Now we'll pour some of this in. Forgot my torch. Give that about 20 minutes or so, and we'll be smoking. For smoke today, I'm going to be using some hand-cut hickory. You can see they're about the size of my hand. I keep them small because I can control the temperature. If I throw a big piece in there, then my temperatures flare up on me, and I'm always going up and down. So I feed it these small ones, and it works really well for me. All right. See, the coals are ready to go. I'm going to dump it in and start cooking. You got to be really careful with this because obviously it's really hot. So you want to set this out of the way. And then early on, when I'm still heating everything up, I'm going to throw a couple good chunks in there. I've got it set at 235, so it'll try its best to keep it there. You can see that, I just put that on there and we've already got some smoke coming out. It is 10 after 8. So unlike some other smokers, the pellet smokers and whatnot, my temperature control on this it's really good if I stay on top of it, but this is not a set it and forget it. So for the next 6.5 hours or so, 7 hours, I'm going to be out here every 15 minutes feeding it firewood and checking the charcoal. And I can maintain a pretty good 25 degree, 225 to 250 range pretty easy, but I got to stay on it. So after the last clip, when I said I'm going to smoke for 6.5 hours, I said, I should tell them why I'm going to smoke for 6.5 hours. So I have run enough temperature probes through my smoker, and not necessarily the meter or the one that goes with my DigiQ, but I had access to a set of, I think I ran a dozen temperature probes where I was measuring air temperatures in different locations. I was measuring product surface temperature, and I was measuring core temperature. By measuring those different areas, you can learn a lot about your smoker. And we know that once the surface of the product is dry, it's not going to accept any more smoke. The other thing that tells me is I know that when that surface is dry, that's where we go into the famous stall. So, and there's two ways you can overcome that stall. You can leave it in there for a really long time, or you can wrap it either in a butcher paper or a foil and either leave it in here, or what I'll do is I'll take it in and put it in my oven at 350 degrees to speed the process up. Guarantee you can't tell a difference between a piece of brisket that I leave in here for the full 14 hours versus doing it in 9 in my oven. Check your own, see. I mean, it might be 5 hours. If you're running a little hotter, that surface is going to dry out sooner. But I'm going to be running in that 225 to 250 range. So it works well on this setup. You'll have to see what works well for your setup. So my internal product temperature is about 42, and my pit temp right now is 89, 90, so you can see it climbing. Well, I ended up running longer than I had planned because of operator error. I was ready to go at about 6 hours and 45 minutes to pull them, and my battery and my camera was dead. Here we are. I'm right at about 7 hours and 15 minutes. I have not looked at them, so you get to see them when I see them. I think they look pretty good. They got lots of smoke. Remember I told you they were touching earlier, and I knew they'd shrink up a little bit, so that's good. I'm going to pull them out one at a time, try and wrap them in aluminum foil. So what does the wrapping in foil or wrapping in the butcher paper do for the product that helps speed that up? It's pretty simple. So you create a microenvironment by wrapping that product. You've got all the juice in there that comes out of the product, and it creates a very moist, almost a steam cook environment, which remoistens the surface of the product. And we know that a moist surface is going to transfer heat much quicker than a dry surface. So that's the advantage of wrapping your product when you get to the stall. Whether you choose to use a butcher paper and leave it in your smoker, or an aluminum foil and leave it in here or in your oven, either way. You're basically steam cooking it to get that internal temperature up to your desired temperature. My desired temperature is 201 degrees. That's where I feel it eats the best. Play with it a little bit, measure your temperatures, and then take that probe and just poke it around a couple times, and you'll get the feel for it. As I reach in to grab these briskets, they're going to be hot, so I've got latex gloves on over cotton gloves. Oh, Brontosaurus #1. I'm really happy. All right, so sure you put it on a cookie sheet before you put it in your oven because it's going to leak. One, you want to capture all that, but you don't want to make a mess in your oven either. So this one I'm going to wrap. I'm going to leave it in the smoker and just use the charcoal to keep it going because I don't have room for 3 of these in the oven inside. So, and this one is not going on a cookie tray because my wife would kill me if this came in all smoky and was hard to clean. We'll close this up. So it's a couple days later, and you saw me try and wrap those 3 big briskets. They're huge. So these are the same size, and they were hard to wrap, and they were messy in the oven. So I thought there's got to be a better way to do it. And then I'm like, well, duh, this will work really well. So I'll throw a brisket in each of those, cover them, throw them in the oven, and have very little mess. It's been 6 hours and 45 minutes. Hit the stall about 168, somewhere in that range. I think this is going to work just fine. So these are the 2 that I foiled and brought in and put in the oven. And one of them took an additional 2.5 hours to reach, actually reached 203. The one on the right, which you can see is just a little bit smaller. And then the one on the left took like 2 hours and 50 minutes to reach 201 degrees. And they were all in the 157 to 161 range going in. Now the third one that I put in the smokehouse, I went and checked it when I pulled these, and it was only at 176 degrees. I was running about 235 in the smoker. So now it is in the oven. I just pulled the last one out of the oven. It was in there for an hour and a half. So the first one we're looking at was done in just shy of 10 hours. The second one was 10 and a half, and the last one was 11 and a half total cook time. After cooking, if you have the time, I highly recommend you let your product rest. This one was wrapped in foil for an hour and a half before I opened it up. These two back here will both be about an hour and a half total by the time I get to them. I just think it allows that product to equilibrate, and in the end, it makes for a much better product when you go to eat it. And that's what this is all about. Better product. The Great Unveiling. This one got to 203 degrees. You can see all the juice that's in there. I actually kept it in this very first foil that I put on. So I will drain that into a Tupperware bowl, and I will save that until I reheat this product, and then I will pour it back in. I really like doing that, and I think it works really well. So, all right, you get a look at it with me. How's that pink ring look? It smells fantastic. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice this, then I'm going to let it cool overnight, and then in the morning I will vacuum package it, stick it in the freezer. I've got about a month until we're going to eat this. Just an outstanding pink ring. Now you'll notice that wherever there's a layer of fat, there's no pink ring. It's because of nitrogen dioxide that is created by the open flame, so it's a byproduct of incomplete combustion, can't get through the fat layer. So anywhere there's lean, and we've got moisture on the lean, and we've got nitrogen dioxide, we're always going to have a pink ring. Again, my video editor said that I have to try it, right? It's just fall apart tender, just how I wanted it. I hate to say everything I make is pretty good, but it's pretty darn good. I might have to sample some more. So I've only cut the first one. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. I better eat this one too. That one had some fat on it. That one is really good. Oh my. If I can never get Sadie over here to help me, this would have got 4 thumbs up. This is just way too pretty of a picture to pass up. I've cut 2 briskets in half, and the flat you cut across the grain. That works well. On the point, I've taken one and I've cut it the same way as the flat, and then the other one I took and I cut it this way, and I don't know, it's a horse apiece, I guess. So you cut them hot or you cut them cold? I cut some of them hot last night, and they're certainly easier to cut through, but it was harder for me to keep a uniform slice thickness. They're just kind of wiggly and jello-y and want to move around on you. Cutting them cold, I think I can keep a little more uniform slice with my handy dandy brisket slicer. This one I will also cut this way, and the flat I'll cut this way. That seemed to work okay. Do what works for you. All right, so the brisket's done. It's sliced, it's in the freezer. So we started at 62.14 pounds of product that I bought in the bag from Costco, and in the bag into my freezer that we're going to eat was 32.93 pounds, so right at a 53% yield, which is in the ballpark of where I thought it would be. Yeah, everything went good. Thanks for watching our video. Hopefully you pick something up that you can use next time you go to smoke a brisket. So I've got a few takeaways for you. The first is, in order to get a good pink ring development, you need to have an open flame and a moist surface on your product. The second is that don't smoke after your surface is dry. It's not going to absorb any more smoke. The third one is that once your surface of your product is dry, wrap it either in foil or butcher paper to help speed up your process. And finally, enjoy the process, enjoy your brisket. What would you like to see us smoke next? Leave us a comment, like our video, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, may your coals be hot and your brisket be delicious.